Also in talking with you in communications in preparation for tonight's show, you brought up some what I think are timely and valuable points that I'd like you to share with the folks.
Okay.
First one being kids going back to school. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Sure. At certain times of the year, I think it's a good idea to just bring some points forward that will help people save money. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's trying to save some money. As some kids go back to school, to college students, maybe they're away, from school. The criteria for there's a discount on most auto policies. Student away at school without the vehicle. In general, it's 100 miles. So if and people might not know that, so if your kids are away at school and the cars are just basically sitting there, they can still be used certainly, but if your child is more than 100 miles away at school, there is a discount that applies, so you should call your carrier or your agent for that. There's also good student discounts, whether it be a high schooler or a college student. There's if they have good grades, there's another discount available for that with most carriers. That's on the auto side. The other thing that I think is a good thing for people to do every now and again is look at your homeowner's policy in regards to the dwelling amount. The dwelling amount on a regular policy, on a regular homeowner's policy, goes up by at least 4% every year. To keep up with the costs of materials, the cost of labor, and the cost of property. However, that being said, sometimes over the years that creeps up, and suddenly you find yourself pretty overinsured. Right. So it's a good idea every now and again, call your agent or call your carrier. They'll go through a series of questions with you. They'll ask you the square footage, what year it was built, when the updates were done to your home, and they'll come up with a replacement cost estimate for the structure. And when you modify that, certainly that affects your premium. So that's a good thing to do. The other thing in regards to homeowners insurance, getting discounts or better pricing, the updates for your electrical, your plumbing, your heating, and your roof. If you have a new roof, call your agent because there's a discount for that. So those are all things, if you've updated the plumbing, if you've updated your electrical service, call your agent. There are discounts available for those things. And again, it's all about helping people to keep their pricing down. It's not all about making money. It's trying to keep your pricing down,
right,
so that we can all make our way.
Yeah, I wish I'd known about that roof thing, because when we knew we were going to be selling in Westchester, we put a new roof on, and I didn't notify my agent. I had no clue that would be something, but very interesting. Now you also mentioned regarding the discount with the child away at college more than 100 miles. Now would that be just for if they were an additional driver on parents' cars, not if they had their own car, or does it work both ways?
If they had their own car,
but left it at home. Let's say my son, when he went to college, did have his own car. He wasn't allowed to bring it, I think, freshman year,
right,
but he had it at home. So would that have qualified?
That would definitely qualify.
Okay.
Yep. And even in that case, you could also consider to do something, put the vehicle in storage mode, which is another thing that if the car is not going to be driven for, say, 6 months, put it in storage mode. It allows you to keep the license plates. The car is still insured for comprehensive losses, theft, but the liability is removed. But if the car is truly not going to be used, the carrier will require you to sign a paper indicating that you acknowledge that the car will not be used because the liability, meaning if you hit somebody else with the car, is taken off. But if it's just sitting there, if it's garaged, same thing. A lot of people do that with vehicles. Maybe they have a summer home somewhere and they have a vehicle that they leave up at that house just for when they're there. Just put in storage. Saves a lot of money.
Good idea.
Hundreds of dollars.
Good. Yeah, that's good to hear. Well, that's what we're here to help the audience
save some money,
save some money and educate them a little.
Right.
You mentioned before about food spoilage. Well, we're actually in hurricane and storm season now.
Right.
Are there some other things that maybe some pointers you can give? In addition to not sweating the small stuff on food spoilage. I don't know, with maybe out stuff that's outdoors, or I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but is there anything else?
For on the homeowner side to save money, or in regards to the claims, in regards to the claims, it's just you really have to look at a claim to see, is it, I'm going to use some words that I hate, because as an insurance agent, I hate when somebody has a tree claim or a water claim. On the homeowner side, water, when somebody says, I have water coming into my basement, again, in this area, flood insurance is not, most people do not have flood insurance, although it is very inexpensive because we're not in a flood zone.
Right.
Anytime you have groundwater leaking in the house, anytime you have water running into the house that's coming from outside, that is considered flood, and that is never covered under a standard homeowners policy.
Okay.
That would need to be covered under a flood claim. I'm sorry, flood policy. But getting back to your question, when somebody calls me and says, I have water coming in, and getting back to the point of having an agent versus not having an agent, for me, I'm going to try to make sure that I know before I call the company, where is that water coming from, because the last thing you want to do is have them place the claim and then have them say, oh, it's not covered because it's groundwater. Because then you end up with, it's still marked on your that comprehensive loss underwriting exchange.
It's on your record.
It's on your record, but you didn't even, so it's kind of, it seems very unfair. But as an agent, that's my job I'm going to try to get the most information that I can with you and make sure that we're in agreement, or that you acknowledge, there is a possibility that this might not go through, or it might not be covered. My job is to try to make sure you understand the repercussions of placing that claim.
Yeah. Now, also in preparation for this evening's show, I'd like you to tell the folks maybe a couple of real firsthand claim experiences that might have gone wrong. And there was one that you told me about someone redoing a kitchen. And I think it's very informative how things can go wrong, and without any fault of the homeowner. So if you could tell our viewers.
Sure. I had a client in Brookfield, actually, and this is a few years ago, and about 11 o'clock one night I was sleeping and my phone rings, and it happens to be one of my clients, and he said, my house just burned down. And I'm like, what do you mean your house burned down? So in speaking to him, his house had burned down, and what happened is the bunk beds were pushed too close to the heater, which resulted in the bedspread or whatever going into the electrical heater, caught fire, major structure fire. But with the same client prior to that, maybe about a year before, the client was redoing their kitchen, and they hired a contractor, which you would do. And what happened is they had bought they had already, before they decided to redo the kitchen, they bought a brand new stove that they ordered, a gas stove, and they bought an under-the-counter microwave. And they said, as part of the contract, we already bought these, but can you install them? And the contractor said, sure, no problem, wrote it into his contract, installation of a gas stove, And what happened was, I guess the gas stoves it could either be propane or natural gas. And they come one way, and there's a conversion kit to convert it to the other form of gas.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, this contractor had one of his workers install the stove, and unbeknownst to anybody, he didn't do it the correct way, so he didn't use the modification kit. The wife and 3 of the kids, through the whole winter, they kept getting sick. The doctor was saying, oh, you have asthma, this, that, kept going back and forth. Then the wife and the kids started getting headaches, went to the eye doctor, and I guess the eye doctor can see in the back of your eyes whether it was carbon monoxide or dioxide poisoning.
Really?
And it was a result of the stove not burning properly. Right. So they're fortunately for them, their carrier covered the cleaning. Everything was taken out of the house, all their clothing, all their furniture, and it was cleaned. The insurance paid for it to be everything was painted, etc. In that case, it was good. They did a whole inventory of everything that was taken out of the house. and then they finally moved back into the house. However, the insurance carrier tried to go back after the contractor because realistically they were at fault because they improperly installed it. However, that person's insurance, the contractor's insurance carrier declined it because he's not a licensed LPG installer. So for them, it was very fortunate to thank God they had their insurance realistically, because otherwise they would have been out all those tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
All right. But these people, unfortunately for them, are the same people that had the major fire shortly thereafter. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's, I think, another example of having an agent who's an advocate for you as opposed to a deal direct.
Right.
So we have a short time left. Was there anything that you would like to leave with our viewers? If you could add anything, very quickly.
No, the only thing I would say, or primarily, is check your policy. Look at your policy every once in a while. When it comes in, definitely take a look, because again, the dwelling amounts do tend to creep up. Some people some people call me and say, well, geez, I couldn't even sell my house for that right now. Why is my dwelling insured at this amount of money? My house isn't even worth that. Well, it may be so with the price and market values and such, but the dwelling coverage also covers things like debris removal. When these people's house burned down, for instance, the house burned down, they had to tear the rest of it down, remove all of that debris and such. So, realistically, I think people should take a look every now and again at the whole policy. Read through it. There are some exclusions on there that you'd want to know about, but it does make sense sometimes to take a look through your whole policy.
Right.
See realistically what your insurance covers. But again, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't put in what I call nuisance claims. I realize people are paying insurance, and the thought is, well, what am I paying for? Why can't I use it if I have it? But you don't want to put in little negligent claims that end up costing you more money in the long run.
And talk to a professional before you do anything rash.
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay. We're going to wrap up our show now. Again, I'd like to thank our guest, Allison Holmberg, owner of a local insurance agency, for appearing on our show. I want to remind our viewers that our air dates on Charter Channel 21 are Mondays at 4:30 and Thursdays at 7. We also post segments of our show up on YouTube. And if you have any questions, please contact us here regarding our show, or questions you might have for Allison. You can contact us here at Brookfield Public Advocate, and we'll get you those answers. And to contact us, it's brookfieldpublicadvocate@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear from you on other things as well, so don't be strangers, and whether it be comments or guests you'd like to see, or topics for future shows. Again, thanks for watching, and good night.